Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Manny, in case you are new here. Today, I'm going to be talking about whether or not I regret buying an iPad Pro for school. I bought this last summer before my second year of university, and I'm just going to be talking about the pros and cons that I found of using an iPad and whether or not I think you should convert to using an iPad for school as well. So I'm just going to be going through all of the pros first, and then I'll be going through the cons at the end of the video. My first pro is I love the app Notability on the iPad. I think that it works so great with the iPad. There are so many features that you can use. The first obvious thing is that you can use it to write notes, and there are so many different colors of pens, highlighters, there's like erasers and stuff like that. You can also move around text that you've written before. It's just a really versatile app that I think is really good for note-taking that paper and pen can't really provide. For school specifically, I like to import lecture slides as a PDF into Notability, and then I can write directly on the lecture slides during lecture, and then I don't have to write down like what's on the slides. I just have to focus on what the prof says and writing down what the prof says. So that's a really great option if your prof provides lecture slides beforehand. Even if they don't, I've really enjoyed using Notability as well, just because there are a lot of different functions and it's just so easy to take notes while the prof is writing. Another pro for Notability and the iPad as well is that everything is in one specific place. I remember in first year when I didn't have an iPad, I would have separate notebooks for each of my courses, and there are times where I'd pull up in the library, sit down in my spot, get everything ready, and realize I didn't even bring the notebook that I needed to bring. And that's a really big inconvenience. I know it doesn't seem like a huge thing, but imagine if you're a commuter student and you commuted 2 hours to get to school, you didn't remember your notebook, like, it can be a really big thing. With the iPad, everything is on here, all your notes. You can easily switch between one subject and another and study very easily. Another great thing that I really like is just the convenience of having it backed up onto my computer. So for Notability specifically, I think you have options to back it up to Dropbox, Google Drive, and a bit more, and the files will just back up as PDFs onto wherever you choose. I found that's really useful because then I don't have to keep all the notes from like previous semesters, and I can always go on my computer and reference those notes if I ever need them. I think that's like a huge thing, especially for psychology. For me personally, I found that a lot of courses will build on top of each other, especially like everything will build on top of like intro psychology, so it's good to have those notes on hand and like the ability to access them whenever you can, and it's just a lot more convenient. Another thing that I like specifically for these Apple products is the ability to share really easily from one device to another using AirDrop. So when I'm studying, I will AirDrop the lecture slides onto my computer so that I can have all the notes open on my computer while I write notes on my iPad. I can AirDrop photos and videos from my phone to my computer to my iPad. It's just really convenient. Obviously, if you have an Apple product, you know that AirDrop is just a really great way to share things. Another pro that I've found with Notability specifically is that you can record your audio while taking notes. So I'm not sure if GoodNotes has this. I don't have GoodNotes, so I can only speak for Notability, but if you're in lecture, you can start recording the lecture and take notes down, and then you can listen through the audio and see where you're writing while the prof is talking. I will include a little demonstration of it because it's kind of hard to explain, but I found that that's super useful. I don't use it personally, but I know a lot of people, if your prof speaks really fast or if they don't have like recorded lectures, then it's good to like be able to go back and listen to what they said in case you missed what they said. Another pro that I found of the iPad is having e-textbooks. That's awesome. A few of my textbooks are solely on apps that are only available on like iPhone or iPad. I don't know how to access it on the computer, and I found that's really useful because then I can just highlight on it and just treat it like a paper document. When I was in first year, I would have to print all of my readings out and just physically highlight them because I really like that. Like, it's a different feeling than reading online on the computer, just like clicking the arrow key. When you're able to highlight and stuff like that, it's just a lot better for your muscle memory and just like understanding. But obviously printing out readings that are 50 pages long every day it's gonna be a lot of paper and a lot of money, so it's a lot easier when it's all on my iPad. To add on to that, it's so easy to go back and reference readings so quickly because everything is on your iPad. You can just switch back and forth between studying and readings and stuff like that. And the last pro that I found of the iPad is that it's just so useful for other things as well, like not just school, but obviously I make YouTube videos and I can make my thumbnails on my iPad. It's a lot easier and it just like allows me to be a lot more creative with my thumbnails for sure. Obviously you can watch Netflix, YouTube on your iPad and download games if you want to do that. I also have a bunch of like other school apps and productivity apps that I like that are on my iPad that I can use when I'm studying. Now that we've gone through all the good parts, let's talk about the cons of buying an iPad. Obviously, the first one is that these things are freaking expensive. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do remember that the iPad itself is $999. I think I got a $50 or $60 discount off my iPad because I bought it during the back to school season at Apple. That's a really good option if you want to save a bit of money. It's not a huge discount, but you get a free pair of Beats or earbuds and a small discount off your iPad. I also have to buy the pencil. This thing is so overpriced. Like, no offense, but yes offense. This thing is like over $100. Obviously, this is the only pencil that'll work on your iPad, so you do have to buy it if you're gonna use it for like note-taking and stuff like that. It is really good though because you can just charge it by clicking it onto your iPad just like that, and I really like that. The case that I bought, this one I bought from the Apple store, which I suggest you do not do because it is so overpriced. I think this was like 60 or 70 bucks. You can literally buy cases like this off Amazon for probably like 20 bucks. Obviously, another con is that if you don't back up your information and then your iPad glitches or something like that, you're gonna lose everything that you have. So it's very convenient to have everything all in one place, but it's also super risky because obviously if you lose it, you're gonna lose everything. Another thing that might bother you, it's a small thing, but I feel like it'll be pretty important, is that it doesn't feel like the texture of writing on paper. I know there are like screen protectors where you can buy it and it feels like you're writing on paper, but it'll never be the same. I know a lot of my friends, or a couple of my friends, have bought iPads and they just don't like it because of the way that it feels and they just have to stay to the pen and paper thing. I thought it would be a huge deal for me too, but honestly I've adjusted to it quite well and I do enjoy writing on my iPad, so I think it's just an individual thing. I suggest checking out the Apple store and like actually physically trying out the Apple Pencil and iPad before you consider buying it because it is quite a big adjustment. Another con of the iPad is that it does not fully replace a computer. So I know a lot of people will buy a computer before they start university because it's just like a good way to have all your files and write essays and all that kind of stuff. Your iPad does not replace your computer. I would say that the iPad replaces all of the notebooks and the paper and all that kind of stuff, but you're always gonna still need a computer for your university work, especially because as an art student, I can't write papers on my iPad, like Microsoft Word doesn't open on it and stuff like that. I'm still gonna need my computer for all that stuff. That being said, I pretty much only use my laptop for writing essays now and like backing up my information. Otherwise, everything is done on my iPad for studying, for midterms, writing notes, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's going to be a huge thing because you're going to have to spend a lot of money buying a laptop as well, so it's your own circumstance, so it's up to you. My last con is that not every class is going to allow electronics. It's a big shocker. I haven't found many classes that are like this, but there are classes that profs just don't like having computers or iPads or whatever out, and you're going to have a notebook or pencil or paper or whatever. Then this is essentially useless because you can't even use it in class, but not a lot of classes are like this now, especially as we're transitioning more into online and just technology is improving in general. That being said, with all the pros and cons that I've listed, it is definitely your choice if you want to buy an iPad or not. It is up to your financial circumstances, whether you think it is a need, and it is up to you, essentially. I would say that I don't regret this at all. I use it so much for everything, school, life, YouTube, just everything. So I found it a really good purchase and I don't regret buying it. Of course, it is expensive. I think one other tip that I might suggest is actually not buying it before your first year of university, because I think that buying it before second year was a good choice for me because I was able to see what using paper and pencil was like versus using the iPad. If you just go into first year with your iPad, you don't know if you like the pencil and paper vibe, if you know what I mean. Also, buying a second hand off of Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Amazon, no, not Amazon, but like those secondhand places might be a good idea for you too if you don't want to buy like a super expensive one. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have a question, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
And I was like, yo.